Hello guys, welcome back to TFD. Man, it's the same old story with the WNBA. While Caitlin Clark and the owners are getting down to business as usual, the WNBPA keeps playing games, wasting everyone's time. They still don't have their act together. The leadership is all over the place, and they're pretending to be united when half of the players are actually ready to sign the deal the WNBA owners already laid on the table. Let's be real. We've seen it before, and we're seeing it again. The WNBPA keeps sending out proposals that no one even cares about. It's not like there haven't been signs of frustration from the players already. We've had big names come out and call out the WNBPA's leadership as selfish. Agents are going public, blasting the WNBPA for their lack of transparency. And now Caitlin Clark and the owners are just moving forward. They're not sitting around waiting for the WNBPA to get their act together. And you know what? That's exactly how it should be. The WNBPA is wasting valuable time that could be spent improving the game and the business side of things. Well, Caitlin Clark along with the owners are making moves. They're focused on the future, whether the WNBPA gets their act together or not. We've heard from player agents who have had enough of the WNBPA's lack of transparency. These agents represent a huge chunk of the WNBA, from rookies to stars, mid-tier players to the big names, and they're not happy about the way things are being handled. Caitlin Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, as well as other top agents like Lindsay Kagawa, Jade Lee English, and Gina Paradiso, have all expressed frustration over the lack of transparency. They've come out and said the WNBPA isn't allowing them to do what's best for their clients. And when you've got agents like that speaking out, you know there's a serious issue. Here's the thing. These agents represent players across the board. Not just the superstars, not just the rookies, but the whole spectrum. They need to be able to advocate for everyone, not just the players with max contracts. The WNBPA is supposed to be supporting everyone, but it seems like they're leaving the mid-tier players out in the cold. They're not consulting with the agents on important decisions like the survey that was supposed to go out to players. Instead, the WNBPA went ahead and sent out a counter-proposal without any input. Welcome back to Basketball Fan. At this point, a lot of fans feel like the situation surrounding the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association has crossed from frustrating into flat-out exhausting. Critics argue that instead of zeroing in on finalizing a deal that benefits players across the board, union leadership appears distracted by internal politics and public posturing. Meanwhile, momentum across the league continues to build, and there's a sense that time is being wasted during one of the most pivotal growth periods in league history. While negotiations drag on, high-profile stars like Caitlin Clark and team ownership groups seem focused on long-term strategy, revenue expansion, and maintaining the league's upward trajectory. The perception among some observers is simple. Business is moving forward, and hesitation could mean getting left behind. There's also growing speculation that ownership has contingency plans ready if talks stall beyond a reasonable point. Professional leagues rarely walk into high-stakes negotiations without fallback options, and many believe this situation is no different. Union President Nneka Agwemike faces the delicate task of balancing leverage with unity, but critics argue that transparency concerns and communication gaps with agents have only complicated matters. Player representatives have publicly expressed frustration about limited consultation on key proposals, including surveys and counteroffers that directly affect contract structures and long-term earning potential. When agents representing rookies, mid-tier contributors, and superstar players alike voice concerns, it underscores how broad the tension may be. From the ownership perspective, the calendar does not pause for negotiations. Arena schedules, sponsorship timelines, broadcast commitments, and expansion planning all operate on firm deadlines. League executives are reportedly intent on keeping the business machine moving regardless of internal disputes. The message many fans interpret is clear: progress will continue, with or without full alignment. Players, agents, and team executives all have careers and investments tied to the outcome, and prolonged uncertainty only adds strain to an already complex situation. Now, let's talk about why March is shaping up to be such a critical month. The upcoming collective bargaining schedule is packed with major checkpoints that could dramatically impact free agency decisions, expansion planning, and draft positioning. One key date that looms large is March 10th, the deadline that many insiders view as a turning point. Miss that window and ripple effects could stretch across roster construction, contract negotiations, and even long-term league expansion plans. Free agents need clarity before making commitments. Front offices need cost certainty before finalizing roster moves. And prospects entering the draft cycle need to understand the financial landscape they're stepping into. That's why the pressure is mounting. If a deal isn't solidified in time, the chaos won't just be theoretical. It could directly affect competitive balance, player mobility, and strategic planning across the league. Expansion efforts, which symbolize the league's growing popularity and market demand, also depend on financial stability and labor peace. Every delay tightens the timeline and raises the stakes. So buckle up, because the coming weeks could define not only the season, but the broader future of the league. Whether negotiations accelerate toward resolution or tensions escalate further, March is poised to be a whirlwind. And as always, we'll break it all down for you right here on Basketball Fan, keeping you informed on what it means for free agency, the draft, expansion, and the direction of the WNBA moving forward. Welcome back to Basketball Fan. March 10th is shaping up to be the pressure point in this entire collective bargaining situation between the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association. This is the date where everything either starts to lock into place or begins to unravel. It's the moment when both sides need to lay their cards on the table and decide whether progress is real or if tensions will spill over into something more disruptive. There's a strong belief among observers that ownership groups have contingency strategies prepared if negotiations stall, because professional leagues rarely operate without backup plans. Still, the preference across the board would be a finalized agreement by March 10th to avoid unnecessary complications that could ripple into every corner of league operations. Even if a deal is agreed upon by that deadline, the process doesn't instantly conclude. Legal teams would still need time, likely through March 31st, to finalize language, review fine print, and officially execute contracts. That formal signing would represent a massive milestone. Once that ink dries, the league calendar accelerates quickly. On April 1st, and no, this isn't an April Fool's twist, expansion officially moves into focus as the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo receive protected player lists from existing franchises. Those lists determine which players are shielded from selection in the upcoming expansion draft, essentially shaping the competitive foundation for the league's newest markets. It's the first real step in building the rosters that will define the future of expansion basketball. Just days later, on April 6th, the expansion draft takes center stage. That's when Portland and Toronto officially select players to begin forming their squads. Expansion drafts are always fascinating because they reshape roster depth league-wide. Role players suddenly become key contributors elsewhere, and strategic protection decisions can define a franchise's direction for years. But while expansion preparations unfold, college basketball will simultaneously command national attention. The NCAA Final Four and National Championship games from April 3rd through April 5th will showcase the next generation of stars. Front offices and scouts will be locked in, evaluating prospects whose performances on that stage can dramatically boost or shift draft stock. Shortly after, on April 7th, pre-free agency discussions begin. This is where behind-the-scenes conversations heat up. Agents connect with general managers, exploratory talks take place, and frameworks for potential deals start forming. While nothing becomes official yet, rumors swirl and speculation grows. Then April 12th marks the official start of free agency, unleashing a flurry of signings and announcements. It's one of the most active stretches on the calendar, with teams scrambling to secure talent and solidify depth charts. As if that weren't enough action, the college draft follows immediately on April 13th. This is when elite prospects like Paige Bueckers hear their names called and officially join the professional ranks. Draft night is more than ceremony. It's a signal of the league's evolving future. New faces step into the spotlight with expectations to contribute quickly, especially in a season already charged with expansion and heightened national visibility. From there, momentum doesn't slow. Training camps open on April 19th, transitioning from negotiations and roster moves to on-court preparation. Coaches implement systems, players compete for roster spots, and chemistry begins to form. Preseason games tip off April 25th, offering fans their first glimpse of how revamped lineups and rookie additions mesh in real competition. Storylines intensify, especially around high-profile stars like Caitlin Clark, whose presence alone draws national attention and daily headlines. Finally, the regular season officially tips off May 8th, with nationally televised matchups beginning May 9th. That's when all the speculation turns into reality. Expansion franchises debut, rookies test themselves against veterans, and established stars aim to elevate their teams. The calendar is packed, the margin for delay is slim, and the stakes are enormous. Whether negotiations conclude smoothly or face turbulence, the league's train is moving fast. Ownership appears determined to keep operations on schedule, and the spotlight on the season ahead is brighter than ever. So that's the full breakdown right here on Basketball Fan. The timeline is tight, the pressure is building, and the future of the league is about to unfold in real time. Drop your thoughts in the comments, let me know how you see this playing out, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The action is about to begin, and you won't want to miss what happens next.